The greatest irony in modern science is this. They spend millions trying to make life in a lab, and when all they get is a bubble wobbling in a petri dish, they celebrate it as evolution. Yet they mock the Bible for saying God made man from dust with a word. Think about it. Lee Cronin's elementary lab experiment showed nothing more than the Marangoni effect, and yet he claims that one day these chemical reactions might form a brain. Man thinks he can create life in a lab while calling God creating Adam from dust a fairy tale. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
If he were telling the truth, he wouldn't have told us.
Unless, of course, he knew you wouldn't believe the truth, even if he told us.
If you enjoy thought-provoking content like this, make sure to like, follow, and share. Now, let's get... Let's get specific. Chemist Lee Cronin and his team made droplets in oil that moved around and sometimes split apart.
Divides in the middle. There's this high specificity that concentrates this reaction in the middle to make sure that you get an even division. What he gets is totally uneven division, and he says that this is showing some forms of protocells, and these are dividing. Oh, look at them. How interesting they are. They're dividing. They have nothing to do with life. This is like an elementary school video. Really. It's an elementary school video.
He depicts a process that actually has no relevance to how life actually works.
Right.
So he's done a good job of explaining what doesn't need to be explained.
And the lipids that he made for this, that he says, these just form spontaneously, 10 pages, single-spaced of complex modern organic chemical reactions using modern chemical reagents to set up the system to make the lipids that form these vesicles.
But what caused it? Not evolution, not life. It was the Marangoni effect. Surface tension gradients that make liquids flow. In other words, physics, not biology. And those droplets, they weren't natural. They were made from carefully synthesized lipids, molecules that took 10 pages of lab recipes, purified chemicals, and robotic equipment just to exist in the first place. So if the claim is that life could just happen naturally, why did it require highly intelligent scientists, millions of dollars, and advanced machines just to set the stage? And even then, what was missing? No genetic code, no inheritance, no information, no metabolism, no consciousness, just bubbles moving because of surface tension. That's a far cry from a brain, or even a single living cell for that matter. So here's the real question. Which makes more sense? Believing random chemistry will one day assemble a human brain, or believing that an all-powerful God spoke and man came alive from the dust? The irony is inescapable. The harder scientists try to make life without God, the more they prove that life requires intelligence, design, and a creator. Stephen Meyer put it well. Cronin explains something that doesn't need explaining, while headlines scream, "Life created in a lab!" What this really produces is an army of parroting atheist NPCs who confuse Cronin's interpretations of the data with the actual data itself. But the actual data is exactly what DrJamesTour said, an elementary science project showing us the Marangoni effect. So to close, Dr. Cronin's very expensive science project doesn't even come close to creating life in a lab, but yet the world is convinced that his scientism is actually science because of all the flashy equipment and support from the rest of their cult. Let's just remember that back in 2011, he said in 2 years they would have life in a lab.
You believe you're going to be successful in this project? When?
So many people think that life took millions of years to kick in. We're proposing to do it in just a few hours, once we've set up the right chemistry.
And when do you think that will happen?
Hopefully within the next 2 years.
That would be a big story.
How's it going? Huh? How's it going, Lee? And you think your little bit of rust, your little bit of dioxide is life? It's not life. Nobody takes that seriously.
Guys, it's 2025 and nothing has changed on his end. Still dishing false promises out that he can't back up with science. Well, that's all for now, but if you want a fresh perspective that doesn't fall for the programming, hit the follow button. But until next time, the Faceless Prophet out.
If he were telling the truth, he wouldn't have told us.
Unless, of course, he knew you wouldn't believe the truth, even if he told us.